The foundational history of the West has long relied on a specific academic standard. It suggests that civilization reached peak maturity in ancient Greece, an era of philosophy and architecture described as a self-contained explosion of genius. In this narrative, Greek settlers are credited with bringing culture to Anatolia, while the earliest founders of Italy are categorized as local Indo-European tribes. Recent findings in archaeology and genetics suggest this timeline is largely a product of Athenian writers from the 5th century, who were documenting their own political heritage rather than an objective history. When the focus shifts from these ancient texts to physical data, the geography of these origins moves significantly toward the east. Researchers are currently isolating physical evidence using two primary methodologies to verify the historical record. The first involves comparative archaeology. By examining the structural layers of ancient Anatolia, we can track the physical evolution of building techniques over thousands of years. The second method uses genetic and linguistic sequencing. By mapping the DNA of Italy's earliest founders and the specific structural rules of their language, we can determine their point of origin with measurable precision. These two distinct fields have now overlapped on a single set of conclusions regarding the roots of the Mediterranean world. The stone walls of the earliest Aegean cities tell a story of continuity. The building techniques found in Ionia were present in the region for centuries, appearing in local settlements long before any recorded contact with mainland Greece. This masonry follows the specific traditions of the Hittite Empire. This indigenous Anatolian power had established the region's architectural and defensive standards long before the Bronze Age collapse. This local heritage is also visible in the people themselves. Sales of Miletus, often cited as the first philosopher, didn't have a Greek family name. His father's name, Hexames, is a native Anatolian name belonging to the Luwian language family. Coastal centers like Miletus and Ephesus were active Luwian and Carian cultural hubs for generations, functioning as established urban powers well before Hellenic influence became a factor. The Ionian culture grew from this local soil, maintaining a tradition that had been developing in Anatolia since the height of the Hittite era. In Italy, the foundations of urban life are traced back to the Etruscans. In the region of modern Tuscany, this civilization developed sophisticated art and infrastructure prior to the rise of the Roman state. For decades, historians categorized the Etruscans as an indigenous Indo-European group, assuming they shared a common ancestry with the tribes that lived alongside them. This chart compares mitochondrial DNA extracted from ancient Etruscan remains against several modern populations. The data reveals a significant statistical match, not with local European groups, but with modern Turkic populations from the east. The presence of these maternal markers in the founders of central Italy suggests that the settlers who established this culture migrated from the Eurasian interior, carrying a biological history entirely different from the surrounding Indo-European tribes. The structure of the Etruscan language supports this data. It was an agglutinative language, which builds meaning by attaching modular suffixes to a root word, a system used in Euro-Altaic languages, but absent in the Indo-European family. This link is visible in specific vocabulary for social order. The Etruscan term for a leader, zela, and their word for a king, kamphe, share the same morphological roots as ancient Perkic titles. These markers perfectly align with the history of the ancient Kurgan cultures. These were advanced, horse-centered metallurgical societies that expanded westward from the Eurasian steppes during the early Bronze Age, moving through the Carpathian Basin, bringing their knowledge of metalworking and advanced social organization into the Italian peninsula. The evidence suggests that the founders of Italian civilization were part of a continuous movement of people and technology originating in the Eurasian steppes. The data suggests a shared heritage between the intellectual roots of the Aegean and the earliest DNA of the Italian peninsula. This movement from the east created the cultural framework later empires claimed. Ionia and Italy's urban foundations are inheritances from Hittite, Luwian, and steppe traditions. By prioritizing genetic and archaeological evidence over ancient political myths, we can begin to accurately map the development of Western civilization.